Good morning, this is Jack from Charting Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 26th of June. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, looking at ES, we're going a little higher this morning. We've still got some negative divergence here. It could be that it's going to fail. 60-minute sell signal here is not actually that far away from failing. And the NQ1 already failed yesterday. We'll see how that goes. We've got a decent looking bullish window over the next week or so, while we are, going to be around the 4th of July holiday. In terms of the historical stats, I would note that Tuesday is very strongly bullish historically. First trading day in July. Thursday is pretty strong historically as well. The whole of next week, really, apart from Wednesday, leans at least modestly bullish. And obviously, Independence Day, the market is closed. After the week after Independence Day, all leans bullish. So I'm thinking if we're going to do some damage to the upside, we're coming into the period now where we should be doing that damage. So we will see whether we get that. But this is the period where I'd really like to see a retest of the all-time high on SPX. We've already seen one on NQ. Anyway, short term, we got a 60-minute sell signal. It might fail. We've still got a couple of 15-minute sell signals left over from earlier. I think we had those fixed on Wednesday morning. And two of them were still open at the end of the day yesterday. We could see a bit of downside to deliver on those. NQ, no current high quality negative divergence. When none of these are really out of double top territory at the moment. RTY hasn't quite got into double top territory, and I would like to see this not become a double top. We had a 60-minute sell signal. This one made target because RTY was the strongest to the downside yesterday. YM, no current negative divergence. Again, nice looking double top setup. DAX and STX, I'm watching particularly carefully because both of these had broken below the monthly pivot. Now, it's only the monthly pivot till Monday, and these could be inverted head and shoulder patterns forming. But I am watching the monthly pivot, which I would like to not be resistance. So I'd like to see these break up again in the next couple of days and start working on their retests of the high as well. But we've got what is an okay looking IHS forming on DAX, and we've got another one here on ESTX. I would like to see these break up over the next few days and deliver moves up into retests of the highs on the European stocks as well. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, and bear with me. All right, I've been looking at the 15-minute charts. And I would like to see these break up. Now, these are, if we are extending higher, because remember I was talking about I'd like to see breaks of all the initial rising support trend lines, and we had that, which is great. And then I said I would like those to establish new support trend lines for larger patterns going higher. These lines are the ones I would like not to be the resistance trend lines. What I would like to see on DX, for instance, and we've got a very obvious alternative, but I was playing around with these last night, assessing the risk that we might see a hard fail down here. I don't think it's huge. I think I think momentum is with us, and I would certainly like to see. Dire heading up to, let's say, this trend line here, which would be a very obvious resistance trend line to move over to. And that would get us back up into the retest of the high area on Dire. So, but this one here, I'm not wild about, but I've tossed in there as potential resistance. Looking at the options there on the others, SPX is pretty close to the existing resistance trend line. And I'd like to see that not hold. Qs is already testing the existing trend line, and I would like to see that not hold. I would like to see breaks higher than this. How are we looking for those on the bigger picture? Not bad. We've still got daily RSI 14 sell signals, albeit weak ones fixed. We've got back up to the daily upper band. We're holding obviously the daily lower band daily middle band like a champ, and as long as that continues, the bias is long. But I've got some concerns about the trend lines above, and I'd like to see those broken. We will see. Looking at the cues, again, up at the daily upper band, we've been strongest on the cues, and obviously we've already seen the retest of the all-time high here. Looking at Dire, this was the weakest last week and was the only one which spent significant time under the daily middle band, even though it was just trading just under it rather than just over it. But back at the daily upper band and looking ready to continue. And IWM, who is our bullish star of the show, of course, we've got this double bottom that I am watching, and I've got resistance significantly above here. So, but this is, sorry, the IHS that I'm watching, this is broken up, and this has got a target back up at a retest of the all-time high, and I'd really like to see this make some moves to the upside. Looking at DAX, we've got still got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fix, and we are testing the daily middle band resistance. I would like to see that break, and I would like to see a move up to at least retest the high and likely go higher. And Nikkei, I was having a good look at this yesterday, and I think this is actually a bull flag. It's kind of large and very, very spiky, but it's not bad. It's got a decent support trend line, and if this is a bull flag, it's just broken up with a target at a retest of 42.4. And this is the thing that I've been saying for a while, that if we can make that IWM target, then there's no reason we can't make the retest this high here on 42.4. Or at least no reason that isn't local to Japan. Obviously, they've got elections coming up and a bit of disturbance, and they've currently cancelled the trade talks, and But I mean, but apart from that, I'm not really seeing much reason this wouldn't head up to the retest of this high. So we shall see. All right, great. DX. I'm working on a post which I'll be publishing today on the bigger picture, and I'm going to be talking about the huge inflection point we've got on the US dollar here at the moment. But this really is a doozy. We've retested this low here, which I was expecting. We've got down to 96.6, and I just want to have a quick look at the bigger picture charts on that. All right, on the daily chart. On the daily chart, we are retesting this low, and we've got a potential level bottom. Hang on, wait a second. Is that updated at all since last night? Yeah, we're going a little lower, obviously, but it's still a potential level bottom. Looking at the weekly chart, which is giving us more of the bigger picture, which I'm really watching here, we are now breaking slightly below this bull flag wedge support. Now, this could obviously be a bullish underthrow, and it could be also that this is heading down to the obvious main rising support trend line, which is in the 96 area, and really we're getting pretty close to. So if that breaks, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but the inflection point here really is the bull flag going to break up, or is it going to break down? Now, we've got a lot of positive divergence. We've got weekly buy signals forming, and we've got some nice indicators that we might see a break up, and normally we would see a break up. 70% of the time this would break up, we'd see a retest the high. My mean would be that would probably be the second high of a double top, and then we'd come down again. But if we see a sustained breakdown, if we get down below the megaphone support, and that breaks the pattern from the, basically the 2008 low, if we see a sustained break below, then this becomes the topping pattern. And in which case, this would have a target at about the 80 area. Watching that with very great interest. This is going to be big over the next few months. And I have to say, I was talking about it on the post, which I've got about half written. But I don't usually really, I mean, these charts are so big and so slow, I don't really tend to think that individual presidencies are much more than a blip on them. But this one could be. Because Trump's been pursuing a few policies which aren't particularly favourable to the dollar. And it could be that Trump gets us a breakdown rather than a break up from this inflection point. I don't really mind which way it is, as long as it's reasonably certain and gives us a steady direction. But I'm quite liking the setup to break up, and my natural lean is always for this sort of setup to break up because it is a bull flag, and bull flags break up 70% of the time. But I'll be watching this very carefully. In terms of the bigger picture charts, is there any support for the bull flag on the euro? Yes, this is a bear flag. Is there any support for it on GBP? Yes. This is another bear flag. So all these bear flags could break in the opposite direction, of course, and of course, if one of them breaks hard in that direction, all of them will. But But nonetheless, these are their flags. The DX1 is a bull flag. My lean is always the little head in the natural direction. But I am very aware that it might not do that. Okay, looking at ZB. ZB, we've gone a little higher here. I'm still looking at a rising wedge on TLT. I'm still looking at a falling wedge on TNX. I'm not seeing this as anything more than setting up a double top at the moment, but it could we could see this break in the opposite direction. ZN hasn't quite reached my resistance trend line, but is getting pretty close to it. Looking at CL. CL, we're seeing a bit of a consolidation while we've got 60-minute buy signals fixed on CL, HO, and RBOB. This just looks like a bearish consolidation at the moment. We've almost retraced all of the move up from the Iran war. This was a very short war, and we came back from it really, really fast. We'll see how that goes. I'm liking consolidation and then likely down again unless something blows up in the Middle East again. But at the moment, we've got ceasefires. There's no reason to think that that's going to happen. HO, the same. RBOB, the same. We're already back in the range we broke up from in RBOB. We've got 60-minute buy signals fixed across the board. Probably see some more bearish consolidation and a bit of a retracement back upwards. NG, this actually performed beautifully. I was talking about this resistance trend line in the 415 or the alternate in the 425 area. It stopped at the 415 option. It then broke below megaphone support. I called that as a target in the 330 area, and it's seen that. My lean is we'll probably see some consolidation here and probably lower after that, but that's just my lean. In the short term, we've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed. We've reached a big target area, and it looks like we're going to see a rally. GC, still waiting to retest the high. SI, this was trying to break down from this double top. So far, that isn't going very well. If this rejects back up to the high, that kills the double top and opens the next obvious target, which I've got at 39. On Palladium, possible double top setup here. Platinum, this is not a double top setup. And we've got nothing really suggesting this great move that we've seen up here, which really broke out of the consolidation, has at the moment no real sign of it's likely to stop. HG, I was talking about this retesting the high yesterday on the bigger picture, and it's retested the high. So we shall see. Possible double top here. Nothing really to say on the currencies apart from the double top setups here are looking less like double top setups by the moment. USD JPY, not quite sure what's happening. We're at the tail end of coming back into the retest of the high on Australian dollar and NZ. KC, we've got a breakdown below this trend line here, and it's quite a nice support trend line actually, so I'm thinking this might well be a bullish underthrow. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed that was just delivered absolutely nothing so far. SB, I'm wondering whether we're about to break up from here, possibly after a retest of the low. At the moment, this isn't expanding down the way I thought it might. So it could be that we've just got a falling wedge here, which is overthrown bullishly here. So I'm thinking we may well see a break up here from the near future. CC, we have seen a bit of a rally. Nothing really suggesting we'll get anything more than a bit of a rally. So we will see. But I'm leaning towards this probably heading a bit lower. CT, we had a break up here from the wedge. We've seen a bit of a retracement. We had a buy signal that made target, and we tested the obvious target at the monthly pivot. At the moment, it looks like it might well be failing there, and we've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fix. If this can break the monthly pivot and convert it to support, then that changes the game. Otherwise, probably looking for a retest of this low here. Lumber, we're still looking at a rising megaphone, which still on the bigger picture looks like a bear flag. On ZW, ZW, we again had a nice looking resistance trend line. We failed there, and we came back to the support trend line, and we broke it slightly. If this follows through on the break, and I think it might, then it's going to head back down, and retest this low here in the 521 area. On corn, going down and looking at the bigger picture charts, I'm leaning lower. Soy, we had a breakdown from this this rising megaphone as well, and we pretty much made it to a retest of the prior low. So we shall see. All right, looking at soybean oil, this looks like a bearish consolidation. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed on live cattle. Still looks like a bull flag forming. HE still, just dithering around at the top. I'm wondering about a more sizable retracement, so we shall see. All right, great. In that case, let's have a quick look at questions. Yep, I agree. I agree, George. Would it be great if the BTC and S&P would go up, metals go down? Yes, I think gold can probably wait, and I'd much rather see Bitcoin and S&P head up. Quite like to see a bullish move, really, and we can see retest the high on gold and so on and so forth. But it'd be quite nice to see a modest bullish move, maybe 5 or 10% up from here on SPX for the rest of the year, and I think we've got a possibility. Um, any thoughts on what dollar BTC and bond implications would be from adopting a stablecoin policy? I'm not certain there would be anyway. It would be positive for Bitcoin. And I'd like at some point to see Bitcoin detach from the stock market's prospects and become more of a flight to safety destination. I think it would be a step in the right direction for that. But on the bigger picture, it's stable coins wouldn't be a really big factor unless the US government started borrowing hundreds of $billions to trillions of dollars in stablecoins. That is something that might happen in the more distant future, but it's not going to happen soon, and it's not going to have any really big impact until that happens. Okay, let's have a quick look at ES. We could see a bit more retracement today. We do still have some open negative divergence. Got a sell signal here, but if we could just push up through that, and then the short-term sell signals would fail. Next week, I'm leaning towards a bullish, basically next 2 weeks. And I would like to push through the short-term resistance trend lines while we are doing that. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. I'm thinking things look pretty quiet. The Iran thing's quieted down. I would like to see markets go up. So we shall, fingers crossed, we should see exactly that. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap, guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow. All right, take care.